Oh. Yeah, that was really clean. Welcome back to the channel, sword friends. Today, we're looking at this sword. This is the Valiant Armoury Practical Longsword, which is the VA-901, if I recall correctly. This sword was originally something that they put together for like blade shows to show off. It has a lower level of finish than some of their other swords in their Craftsman line. But frankly, this thing is an amazing sword. If you followed this channel already, you know that Type 16A is one of my favorite types of swords. And that's exactly what the Valiant Armoury Practical is. It is a Type 16A. It is an authoritative sword.
People don't tell me what to do. I tell them what to do.
It's got cutting power. It is gorgeous. And I'm just glazing this sword at the moment because it is so good for what the price is.
I love you. You complete me.
So now, to start this off, this sword, when I bought it, came out to $810. It was $750, and then I had like $60 worth of shipping. So it's $810. Now, most of their other Craftsman line are somewhere in the $1,350 or $1,250 to $1,350, somewhere in that range. Now, it does come with a scabbard. This one does not by default. Now, when I first actually got the sword, I ordered it right away, and Sonny from Valiant Armoury called me on the phone like 10 minutes after I made the order, just to make sure that I was aware that this sword did not come with a scabbard. And if that was all right. If it wasn't, he would cancel the order and go from there. Now, frankly, I thought that was a very stand-up thing for Sonny to do, just to make sure so I wasn't disappointed in the sword. And frankly, I'm not disappointed, just so you're aware. Now, since that time, they weren't really taking orders for this sword when I got it. It was something that if they made one, they'd put it up on the site to sell, and if you were lucky enough to get it, you got it. Now it appears that it is a standard option on their page. And as part of that standard option, you can now opt to get a scabbard for it as well. It is marked as $300 for the scabbard, but it is supposed to be a very practical, functional scabbard, and that's it. It's not gonna be as pretty as other scabbards that, like Zach does over a Valiant Armoury, but it'll serve the purpose. Again, the idea being to get this sword down to a lower price, and actually, honestly, this would be more of a mid-range price for me. This is the mid-range, nearing up on high-end, but still mid-range for me, especially if you just get the sword itself. So now, talking about the sword itself, obviously being a Type 16A, this is a war sword. This was meant for battle, and it is authoritative. It is a powerful sword in the hands. When you have this in the hands, you feel like you're just ready to take on everybody. It's a fantastic sword.
Bring it on.
It is fairly long, with the whole thing coming in just a hair over 43 inches in length. The hilt itself is actually a bit smaller than what I think a lot of people are used to in the current modern reproduction market, coming in at only 8 inches if you don't include the pommel. And this has a very interestingly shaped pommel, which we will get to here in a bit, but it is about 8 inches, so you can definitely put two hands if you do a hammer grip. If you start doing more of a handshake grip, you're gonna have to palm the pommel a little bit in order to get it done. But if you do include the pommel, you have about 9 3/4 inches of room to play with. It's not bad, and probably a bit more in line with what historical examples of swords had. Historical swords didn't necessarily have the super long 12, 13, 14 inch grips or anything of that nature that we often see in some other reproduction swords. They were often a lot shorter, especially on these earlier period swords. A good example of this, if you are looking for a comparison, is actually comparing the Albion Cressy and the Albion Warwick, both of which if I recall correctly, are Type 16As, but the Cressy is a bit more historically accurate, and the handle is quite a bit shorter than that of the Warwick. The Warwick was added later with a much longer handle to it, but the Cressy was something that was more historically in line with what a Type 16A sword had, and it was a much shorter grip. Even with all this length though, the point of balance on this sword is crazy at 3 3/4 inches from the crossguard. Like, this is crazy. One of the ways I think that they do this is, if you look at the blade itself, it's kind of hard to see it here. They leave this front section of the blade unsharpened and thicker. It's quite a bit thicker right here, probably 1.5 millimeters-ish, maybe not quite that long, here for the first 3 inches, roughly. And that brings a little bit of extra weight back here towards the handle. So the handling is really good. The weight is just, again, a hair over 3 pounds. It's like 3.01 according to my scale. So it is not the lightest sword in my armory, but it doesn't have to be as a war sword like a 16A would have been. So for $750, not including shipping, this is a very, very good sword.
It's even more magnificent than I imagined.
There is next to no rippling on it. There's a little bit, but it's so minor you really can't even see it down the blade when you try to look. In the perfect light, maybe you would see a little bit, but Valiant Armoury, again, does hand make all their swords, so therefore there are some inconsistencies and asymmetries in the way the sword is done, though technically this is probably one of the best ones I've ever seen, because you really have to look close to see any kind of asymmetry. It's there, but it's so subtle, unless you are really trying to laser focus in, you're not going to even find it. So obviously with no scabbard, we don't have to talk about that. I don't have the scabbard. And again, you can look at it on the website. It does look basic and bare bones, but again, it goes back to the idea of what the sword's called, the Practical Longsword. It's meant to be practical, not pretty, and that's what it'll do. I don't have one, so I really can't review it, but if it comes from Valiant Armoury, I've got to say it's probably pretty decent. I have other Valiant Armoury swords, and all of their scabbards are beautiful. So I'm gonna give a little bit of credence to that and reputation and just assume the scabbard would be the same. Now, the pommel is interesting because I normally do not like wheel-shaped pommels. This one, however, actually feels pretty good in the hand. It's not the best feeling ever, but that's because the nature of wheel pommels themselves don't really lend themselves as well to a comfortable grip because of the circular nature of the pommel. This one, however, despite that handicap, still feels good. They do an amazing job with how smooth and rounded it feels, that it doesn't cause any discomfort in the hand. The hardest thing is actually gripping a wheel pommel, which is the very nature of all wheel pommels. If you learn how to overcome that, then this will not be a problem at all. They definitely have a more rough satin finish on all of the fittings themselves. They are rough by their craftsman standard, yet I still think very, very elegant in functionality and just general aesthetics. Actually, I really like it because that rough texture gives the color of this steel just a little bit of a different hue than the actual blade itself. I really, really like it. So the grip is a rounded, rectangular, waisted grip that feels really good and actually has a bit of depth here where they actually swell it out here at the center, so it actually gives you a little bit extra to hold on to. It's a very nice touch and very comfortable in the hands. The leather work is immaculate, like always. The leather work is superb, which is pretty much standard now for Valiant Armoury. Their leather work is amazing. The scything of the leather is, while it's not the straightest line, it is so flat you can't feel it. You could see it, but you can't feel it. So it is beautiful. They only come in black for the Valiant Armoury Practical. That you could either count that as a positive if you are a black on everything kind of guy.
The leather, I think, looks spectacular, and I can't think of a better example or color combination to make it look better. If you're gonna do black on black with some blacky black, then at least make it super awesome black, rather than some sort of not or less awesome black.
Or maybe a negative if you like a little bit more color in your life. But again, that's one of the sacrifices they make with this practical in order to keep the price down. You don't get a choice on fittings or the color of the leather, but what they provide is still beautiful. Crossguard is one of my favorites. Again, the upturned Crossguard. And dear goodness, is this one of the best fitting Crossguards I have ever seen. Like, that gap is near zero. Like, there's a little gap as natural for most swords, but it is one of the best I have ever seen. Definitely on any mid-range sword, and even on some of the higher end swords, that gap is beautiful. This sword, they've done so much good with this sword, even at the price point that it is. It's hard to find something wrong about this sword. It doesn't exist, it feels like. Moving on to the blade itself, again, this is one of my favorite swords types there is. Type 16A were hexagonal cross sections, and this one, it has that. It's very, not as pronounced as some others, but it is there, and I really, really enjoy it. The distal taper on this thing is crazy. It starts out at 6.15 millimeters thick here at the base. Again, bringing that weight back. By the midpoint, you're down to 4.4 millimeters, and near the tip, about an inch from the tip, you are down to 1.62. This cutting edge is keen, and the way that the distal taper is done makes the weight and balance of this sword feel absolutely amazing. All right, I've gushed enough about this sword already. Let's go check out the cutting footage. Part of these mats feel like they're half frozen. We'll see how well this goes over here. It's doing a pretty good job cutting so far. It is having some issues making it through the mat. I'm curious if it's because it might be partly frozen. This is the one at the bottom, but we'll see. Oh, yeah, that was really clean. That was really, really clean. Oof. Yeah, no, it looks like there's a few fibers here that are pooling, but overall, there's no other tearing that you could see at all. It's making through this really, really easily. Let's try to get another one in there. Didn't quite make it through on that one, but it did have a nice clean cut. Yeah, nope. Still. Oh, why? It's frozen here at the bottom, that's why. Overall, let me see if I find one. The tatami itself cut really, really cleanly when I wasn't hitting frozen tatami, but it did pretty good. Let's see how it does against a pool noodle. Ooh. I think the Practical does pretty good with, especially the pool noodles. It popped them apart really, really easily. No tearing. Even the downward cut you can see here, you can see where the downward force was from, you know, the upward strike pushing down on the noodle. Yeah, it still didn't tear. So it seems to cut really, really well. Let's move on to bottles, see how it does there. All right, well, I have a little bit of daylight left. I'm gonna try to cut a few more of these water bottles. We'll see how well it does. Again, I think it'll do pretty well when it comes to this, but we'll see. Oh yeah. I actually tipped right at the top where the hardest part of the plastic was, and it still made it through like it wasn't even there. Whew. Really clean cut. Really, really clean cut. I don't know if that counts as a static, but it fell flat on the ground over here. That one wasn't too bad either. I did knock that one off. My edge alignment was off on that one a little bit. But overall, this sword, again, cut really, really well. I'm really, really pleased with this one. It looked like you had a little bit of issue with tatami at first, but really it was just the fact that it was an old tatami that was slightly frozen, and yet it still made very, very clean cuts. So overall, I'm very happy with how sharp this sword is. All right, let's go get some final thoughts. It's interesting because, like, even when I watched some of that cutting footage again, when I actually took that cutting footage, those tatami mats were frozen, or at least partially frozen. They were incredibly hard. And this sword, when it made it through, it sailed through. At first, when I will admit, when I started cutting, I didn't realize they were frozen. I knew it was cold that day when I actually recorded that footage, but I didn't realize they were frozen. And I was a bit disappointed when I started cutting, going, it cut, but not as well as I thought it would. And then I picked up the pieces and realized they were frozen solid hunks of like mat, and I went, oh, that changes things. Like, this sword, even with frozen mats, did amazing cutting. And even today, I've cut with it several times on live streams and things like that, and this is a great sword, just all around, all over the place. So if I had to rate this sword, I would give it 5 Knights in Shining Armor out of 5. This thing is practically flawless. It is amazing, and I've gushed about it this entire time because it is that good of a sword. And for the price point it is, which I know for some people, if you're looking at $810, at least that's what it was for me to ship it here, so $750. And even if you add a scabbard at $300, you're only at $1,050, which would just tip it over into high-end budget swords because you added the scabbard, though I would mark that even the cheapest Albion swords don't have scabbards, which you'd have to add afterwards. This sword is amazing for the price. This is probably the best mid-range sword I have ever seen, just hands down. The aesthetics of it, I think, are gorgeous. If you like this satin aesthetic, which actually I prefer over anything else, it is beautiful. The slightly scuffed mark, kind of looking rough polish they put on the fittings actually fit this sword beautifully and don't take away from it. You barely notice it. You see them there, but it adds a bit of texture, I guess, a little bit of just something different, that it's not just all one, monotonous color or anything like that. There's a little bit of depth to color and shading because of like the minor polish scratches that are there. I gave it a solid point again. Durability. This thing held up to even frozen tatami mats. No issue, no edge damage at all. I think I felt one level of burring at one point, but it was very minor. And when I mean burring, like when you run your finger over the edge, obviously carefully, it felt a little rough. I took a stropping belt to it, it's gone. And so no issue whatsoever. And for how hard those targets were, I'm surprised I didn't roll an edge, but I didn't. Handling is amazing as well. I couldn't even say anything about the handling for this type of sword. Even with this shorter grip, I have no issue getting this sword to go where I want it to go. Sharpness, again, I am just gushing about this sword because it's so good. The sharpness, I've said this from the beginning, Valiant Armoury probably puts the best out of the box sharpness to any sword I've ever seen, with the exception of possibly Stephen Lockwood of Lockwood Swords. I've heard his is better. I've not had it personally. I do have one on order, but I haven't got one personally. Valiant Armoury's edge is out of the box. I won't say competition sharp, but pretty close. If I were handed a Valiant Armoury out of the box to do a competition, I wouldn't feel like I was in some way disadvantaged by having it that way. Because it's close enough where I'm like, okay, could it be sharper? Absolutely, everything can be sharper, but out of the box, they are, in my opinion, the best out of the box sharpness of any sword I've ever had. And finally, cost to value. Okay, so I mulled this one over in my head for a little bit. A standard Craftsman is $1,250, or some are $1,350, but we'll just say $1,250 for right now because I think I saw a couple that were $1,250. I don't remember if they were on sale or not. It doesn't matter. With a scabbard now added to this price, it only is $1,050. You give up the ability to customize things like the type of finish you want, because they do have satin finish, antique finish, blackened finish, and picking of leather colors. You don't have that option with the Practical, but it's $200 less than when you have those options. So if you're willing to pay the extra money, go with the Craftsman line for sure. Their stuff is beautiful right off the bat, and you can have the customization options, but that's not what the Practical was meant to do. Practical was meant to get you a very, very good sword at a relatively decent price. And $750 for the blade is a relatively decent price for the level of quality that Valiant Armoury puts into it. You've heard me rant for however long this video is going on. I will continue to shout this sword's praises. I would buy this sword again if given the opportunity. In fact, I might if one shows up, because I just wouldn't mind having two, because I can. Just, I don't know. There's nothing else to say. It's perfect. It's just absolutely perfect.